All right. Today we got the latest Game Informer, issue 345. That ought to be May. Evil Dead the game. Now, I honestly don't even play video games unless they're a TCG. But yeah, I mean, to tell you the truth, the last video game I played was Mario on Switch. Then I got halfway through Zelda on Switch. Then I touched that Sonic on Switch. And then I got like 2 levels into that. Got Donkey Kong on Switch. Got like 1 level into that. But one day I'll pick video games back up, I'm sure. But anyway, with this latest Game Informer, skim through this joint. The game everyone is playing, Elden Ring. If I was smart, I would just make a video game channel and play Elden Ring. But I probably missed that boat. All right, my phone rattled out of its slumber at 3:15 a.m. It chirped noisily, letting me know I had just received 3 text messages within seconds of one another. Given the late hour, I assumed it was an emergency and hastily grabbed my phone from the nightstand. My friend Jason was desperately in need. His last message read, "Can I call you now?" I opened the text thread and gain more context behind his urgent plea and let out an audible groan when I learned he needed help in Elden Ring. UMFer. I don't think it's a stretch to say everyone is playing it right now, except for me, the dummy. Most of my friends are obsessed with it. With a good number of the posts I read on social media are people talking about their Elden Ring journeys and conquest. I can't recall the last game that pulled in so many players. The fans were there on day one, but so were people who have never played a Souls game, and even those who swore they would never play another one. From the early previews, we knew From Software was working on something special. Dan Tack's review of the game confirmed that. Kind of hard to read this small text, but I'll kind of read it through the camera. All right, Dan Tack's review of the game confirmed that. He even went so far as to say it's my favorite game of all time. The universal praise from most outlets and the jaws it dropped when streamed by influencers created an enthusiasm that pulled in the masses. What's truly incredible about Elden Ring is its freeing design creates unique adventures for every player, many of whom want to share their discoveries, victories, and uncertainty. It has become the most social game I have ever experienced in my friend and gaming groups. Something I didn't anticipate yet love about it. We're helping each other through communication and discussing the game on an entirely different level than we usually would any other title. As of this writing, I believe I'm halfway through Elden Ring, and I don't want it to end because I love the journey and how it's unified my friends in such a fun way. I want more games like Elden Ring, but I don't think it will suddenly become the blueprint for other developers' projects. From Software, I guess the company's called Software. From Software has created a masterpiece. From Software, yeah, I guess they're called From Software, has created a masterpiece that began way back when Demon's Souls was first getting off the ground. The culmination of ideas and iteration took numerous games to figure out and finally bring to market. Yes, we'll likely see elements of Elden Ring in other games, but there will only be one genuine Elden Ring. It's one of those rare moments, one moment in time games that we were fortunate enough to play when released. There will be more games that pulls us in, but this is Elden Ring's world for now, and I'm going to enjoy every second of it. Well, that was a glaring review. All right, Evil Dead the game. On March 10th, we had a chance to play Saber Interactive's Evil Dead. The game for around 3 hours, exploring the scary and sometimes wacky world of popular horror franchise. Come explore the game with us in our 12-page cover story where we play both the scrappy survivors and the cunning demon. Our cover this issue also features an augmented reality experience where you can explore Evil Dead on Snapchat, so don't miss out on that. Additionally, you can also try to grab a collector's copy of Game Informer Gold this month, featuring an incredible alternate artwork cover of Ash Williams and a motley crew of Deadites. Visit GameInformer.com to learn more about the availability of this rare collectible version of Game Informer. I didn't know they did Game Informer Gold Collector's Edition. It's good to know. Look out for those. All right, Ash page 30, Evil Dead page 30, Becoming Yoshi P. Naoki Yoshida's become an integral part of the Final Fantasy franchise. He looks back at his career with this. Page 30, Evil Dead. Delightfully skewed in anticipation of the Evil Dead game, we run down current asymmetrical multiplayer games worth checking out. Steel Rising, taking place around the French Revolution. Steel Rising is a promising ultra-hard action game with great art direction to boot. We got behind-the-scenes look at the title. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge. The 90s are back in a big, bad way. And even video games aren't safe. We got a hands-off look at this retro-inspired beat-em-up. What we saw was more than promising. Tango Gameworks, a decade later. Shinji Mikami founded Tango Gameworks on the idea of giving young developers the chance to direct their own games. More than a decade later, we talked to team members about how that mission statement is playing out. Right. Forspoken, that was last month's issue. Okay, I grew up in the foster care system in NYC. Why is this relevant? Frey, the main character from Forspoken, is also from the foster care system in NYC. My jaw almost hit the floor when I read this in Kimberly Wallace's All About Forspoken's Reluctant Hero web article. I never thought my childhood would have a connection point with a hero in a video game, but here we are. Forspoken is obviously my most anticipated game of all time now. Nice. All right. Elden Ring is great. 10 out of 10. Elden Ring is not for me. That's what I'm talking about. Some haterade. Let's sip on some of this haterade, cousin. All right. I can never get into the Souls games, but after seeing it get a perfect 10 out of 10 score, I felt like I had to play it to see what you and practically everyone I know are gushing about. The open world is truly open, and well, that's all I can really say. I enjoyed about this game. It's still a Souls title at heart, and without level design direction, I feel like it's more of a mess and even harder than any other title from software has made. I'm not a fan, but I'm glad you all enjoy it. We all have different tastes, but this flavor is not for me. Yeah, that's pretty much why, really, I got the internet out here. So that's why, like, I put down the last Zelda on Switch. But it's like, I got to a point where, like, where do I go next? And then I got the internet. Then I just put that thing down. But yeah, give me a little direction in the game, personally. Halo TV. I went into the first episode of Halo TV series with clenched teeth and a low Rotten Tomatoes score. Man, this small text, boy, kind of hard to read. Low Rotten Tomatoes score in mind, and ended up having a blast with it. Sure, it could have more to do with the game stories, but that's about as good as Master Chief and the Covenant are going to look. I was surprised how gory and violent it was. They also made it feel fully sci-fi with aliens everywhere. I can't wait to see how this series develops. I'm glad season 2 is already on the way. That means they think it ends strong. Okay, seeing a character you've journeyed with for decades presented in a different way is always going to be alarming and hard to take in at first. We agree that Master Chief looks fantastic, and it's nice to see the series getting a budget to bring out its sci-fi qualities. Many Game Informer staffers enjoyed the first episode and are hopeful the series will do the beloved franchise justice. It's worrying that one of the showrunners hadn't played any of the games, but it would appear 343 Industries has a big hand in its development with all the nods to the fans seen in the first episode. Yeah, and fair use, because I am inserting my opinions. But Yeah, I heard the Halo TV, like the Halo TV series, it started rough, but then recently it's gotten pretty good. That's what I heard. Some Pokemon right there. Poll, okay. Poll. Which starter Pokemon will you select in Scarlet and Violet? I didn't even know that thing was coming out. Sprigatito. I guess that's the green dude. Fuecoco. Looks like the fire type. And Quaxley. Looks like the water type. Who would I pick? Green's my favorite color, but Quaxley looks pretty cool though. Quaxley. Cool name with a Q. All right, we already 10 minutes in, so I'm gonna kind of speed it up. Try to get about 30 minutes in there. Starfield, that is some nice fan art right there. I really dig that. Final Fantasy game. Okay, Becoming Yoshi P. Naiko Yoshida is a man of many words. Ask him any question and he'll answer in great detail, which is terrific because he's had quite the career. There's no denying that Naiko Yoshida is massively popular and important figure in the Final Fantasy franchise. When the series hit a low point, Yoshida helped turn its tide, most notably helping transform Final Fantasy XIV after its disastrous launch into one of the most successful and revered MMORPGs of this generation. Yeah, I mean, they still playing that game. And yeah, I mean, they're still playing that game. I think it just came out with a new DLC or something. Nearly a decade later, he's still finding ways to keep fans engaged with the content and returning for top tier expansions like Endwalker. This consistency hasn't gone unnoticed. Just this year, XIV received 14 received awards from South by Southwest, DICE, the Game Awards, and Metacritic in big categories such as Video Game of the Year, South by Southwest, and Best Role-Playing Game, DICE. Yoshida is also serving as producer on the upcoming Final Fantasy XVI, making him responsible for ushering in a new future for the franchise. Yoshida has rightfully earned his place on the pedestal, but he didn't get there by just being a smart and insightful developer. His genuine passion for games allowed him to look at things from the perspective of a fan, and it has made all the difference in his career. We discovered this firsthand in our in-depth interview where Yoshida reminisced about his path to video games and shared more about who he is beyond the zeitgeist. Okay, did he work on Bomberman 64? I always wanted that game, never got it. Okay, Finding Games. Yoshida is a storyteller, instantly grabbing your attention and making you hang on until his very last word. It makes sense that narrative and world building constantly come up when he refers to games. His love for story was fostered by his mother, who introduced him to mystery novels as a boy. See For the Love of Mystery Novels sidebar. Yoshida thinks every game should deliver some element of surprise, which he admits probably ties into his love of the mystery genre. Ironically enough, Yoshida's first encounter with the video game was typical. When he was 5 years old, he discovered a Rally X arcade machine while he was on vacation with his family at a hot spring. The game had players race through multi-scrolling levels to collect flags. It was very standard, so that was not surprising in any way, he admits. It was just the kind of playing around with the levers. It wouldn't be until Yoshida was around 7 years old that he really felt the magic of gaming, thanks to his neighbor, who Yoshida refers to as a rich brat kid. Yoshida went over to his neighbor's one day and saw the NES hooked up to the TV with the original Mario Brothers. Okay, illuminating the screen, Yoshida was surprised by his immediate emotional response. That was my shocking entry into video games, he says. At that time, I thought television was only to watch something, a passive media, as we put it nowadays. The interactive element had such an impact on me. Yoshida says, even though Mario's mechanics were simple, stomping on Goombas and going through pipes, he was struck by the cooperative element and how that changes the experience. Despite it having the same rules as single player, So when I got to play it for the first time, I already knew somewhere in my heart that I am going to be the person who creates games one day, he says. But it took Yoshida time to warm up to RPGs. During his elementary and middle school days, he recalls playing a lot of action games and shooters, but his friends kept talking about Dragon Quest. Yoshida remembered feeling rather negative about the series. He hadn't played it, but based on what he heard, it didn't seem like his cup of tea. In this game, the CPU generates numeric random occurrences like dice, and I didn't know what the appeal was, he says. That all changed when his friend lent him a copy of a game, and he came to the realization, with these role-playing games, it's not about the skill of the player themselves, but I noticed that you have this character who gains experience, and there's a story behind it, and it was a very different experience. So about a year later, the original Final Fantasy came out, and it changed everything for Yoshida. That's when I realized this medium now tells a story, and in a very dynamic way, he says. It changed my perspective. I thought to myself, wow, I want to be able to deliver a story through this video game medium to share with people out there in the world. Yoshida always thought he'd make an action game, but his Final Fantasy experience made him change his vision for the future. His goal was now to make an RPG, and it was born from the desire to depict a story through this interactive platform. Doing the hard work, trying to figure out a way to skim this, but it looks pretty dense, looks pretty deep, whatever. Doing the hard work, Yoshida was dead set on becoming a video game developer, but as he was graduating high school, he started to realize that he hadn't done much to put him on that path. I never really studied any sort of programming or video game design at this point, he says. I just had this weird confidence in me thinking, oh, I'm going to be a game designer one day. It was just all talk at the time. Yoshida then got more serious about pursuing programming and joined a game design school run by Hudson Soft, a video game publisher that had its heyday from the 80s to 2002, creating series like Bomberman, Bonk, and Star Soldier. This led to a part-time job at the company, which allowed him to get his feet wet in development. At the same time, the strategy RPG Tactics Ogre came out and lit a fire in Yoshida to become a developer, giving him a new high bar to strive for. See Falling in Love with Tactics Ogre sidebar. Alright, yeah. Basically, he came up and I gotta skip the rest of this. I don't have to, but I'm going to. Okay, so Final Fantasy 14 looks super clean right there. I wonder if that character's really popular. I don't know. Right. Yeah, and that's that. Okay, what's next for Dying Light 2? Never played Dying Light 1. And the hit sequel charts the course for future DLC. Cool. Getting Graphic, the best video game comics to read right now. 1, the Assassin's Creed. 2, Zero Dawn and Horizon and Forbidden West. The Horizon comics give side characters like Erend and Talana extra time to shine. Not only do they add additional backstory, but some aspects tie directly into Forbidden West. Life is Strange. Sonic the Hedgehog isn't new to the comic scene, but the Blue Blur's latest ventures by IDW Publishing reach a new high bar. Action-filled plots, new villains, and fantastic art give energy to the longtime Sonic mascot's hijinks. Bloodborne. I think that's Bloodborne. The art right there. The Blue Blur returns to the silver screen. Still haven't even watched Sonic 1. I need to sit down and do that one day. My sister loves Sonic. Going back to GDC. Some kind of convention. Game Developers Choice Awards. Revving up the right racer. Graphics super clean. Gran Turismo 7. Forza Horizon 5. It looks like they're on the way. Kit out your PS5. Building a future, enriching your child's learning and life through games. Learning to organize, clean, and construct. That thing is pretty fun. Whenever I make a video, like, and I gotta splice videos together, I get this advertisement. I usually actually sit down and play this game, or whatever it's called. But I still haven't downloaded it though. All right, kids learning stuff, cool. Back in my day, we had Mario Paint. Was the equivalent of that, and Oregon Trail, I guess. The modern gamers glossary. Whether you've been playing for a long time or just getting into the hobby, we throw around a lot of terms in our discussions of games. Here are some of the most commonly used and misunderstood words worth knowing in today's gaming landscape. Let's see if I don't know any. Accessibility. A descriptor we reserve to discuss a game's capability to support players of all types. Yeah. Asymmetrical, a competitive game in which the players are not on equal footing. Yeah. Battle Royale, Clash Royale, emergent, indie, isometric, over the head angle thing. Meta, yeah. Metroidvania, that's a procedurally generated type of deal, ain't it? An informal designation often used around the exploration focused games with gear or ability gated progress, a non-linear interconnected map. Yeah, like Metroid and Castlevania. MMO, procedural generation. Okay, I just used that word. MOBA, Season Pass, Souls-like, AAA, Line Service. What's Line Service? An increasingly common designation for a game supported by multiple ongoing updates, patches, and changes, potentially over years, often representing major or even fundamental restructuring of major mechanics or available experiences, sometimes called living games. Cool. UI, kind of like a LCG when it comes to the card games. All right, Raising Hell. Evil Dead is back in the spotlight with Saber Interactive. Brings Ash and his friends into an all-new terrifying twist on player versus player. Haven't even watched the show. Saber Interactive and Boss Team Games are targeting the asymmetrical horror genre for a battle between demons and survivors. What's the top game in this category? Not that Jason game, but the other one. I forget the name of it, but they just dropped a board game recently. But it's quite different than other creature feature forays on the market. In Evil Dead the game, don't expect to find human heroes cowering in corners or attempting to flee. This 4v1 fear festival takes the fight directly to the forces of evil, hacking enemies in half and blowing them to pieces. Looks cool. Setting the stage, surviving the game. A leader, warrior. Okay, so the good guys, leader, warrior, hunter, support. Classes, meet the demons, warlord, puppeteer, necromancer. Cool looking alien. Demon. Looks like some zombie demons. Facing fear. Yeah, I remember I watched this movie in the theater way back in the 90s. Like, he went back in time into the medieval times or something. So that must be part of that. With the chainsaw, that was cool. Got the little guys crawling on, cool. Okay, Delightfully Skewed. Back for Blood versus mode. Predator Hunting Grounds. Dead by Daylight. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Dead by Daylight. It's hard to talk symmetrical multiplayers without Dead by Daylight. Released nearly 6 years ago, the game is still a genre favorite, and is on its 23rd chapter. Players split into two teams. One consists of a killer and the other 4 survivors. The characters on both sides are inspired by pop culture, including a few you'll see in our cover story, Ash and the Evil Dead. If you don't want to wait for Evil Dead, the game, this is the next big thing. Resident Evil Resistance. You and 3 friends can join in the Resistance in Resident Evil 3's online multiplayer mode. Get through all 3 stages set before you by the 5th member of the group, who plays the role of the faceless Umbrella Corporation mastermind, made harder by ever-present risk of zombies. All right, Intruder. Yeah, these are the asymmetrical games. Left 4 Dead versus mode, Prop Night, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, Among Us. Still haven't even played Among Us. Shameful, I know. Secret Neighbor, Hello Neighbor, multiplayer, Dragon Ball, The Breakers, Automated Alternative History. Okay. Cool looking Japanese cyborg samurai stuff. Cool. Okay, Ninja Turtles. Pizza Power. The heroes are back to save the day once again in the retro brawler Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Cool looking turtles. In the 90s, the Turtles were ubiquitous in the side-scrolling beat-em-up scene. Whether you're talking about the 89 arcade game, 91's Turtles in Time, or the myriad of other brawlers starring everyone's favorite heroes in a half cell, Konami's creations in the 80s and 90s are legendary. However, just as side-scrolling beat-em-up genre faded, so too did the luster of Turtles' legacy. Following the IP's late 80s and 90s boom, the fan base of TMNT shrunk considerably. And much like the movies, TV shows, and merchandise, the brand's gaming output slowed. After 92's Hyperstone Heist and 93's Tournament Fighters, yeah, that was cool, that Tournament Fighters, the Turtles still starred in games, but few reached any level of acclaim. Even Ubisoft's 2009 remake of Turtles in Time was met with harsh criticism. Now, with the likes of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Streets of Rage 4, and the well-liked 2007 Game Boy Advance, we met with the company behind the Shredder's Revenge to see the game in action and chat with the developers about how they're hoping to make the video game the Turtles fans have dreamt of for the past 30 years. Like the pixel art. Check it out. Got ice blocks with meat in it. Let's read the last paragraph. Okay, Cowabunga. Everything I've seen and learned of the Turtles Shredder's Revenge suggests that it aims to be the brand's grand re-entry into the gaming scene. It's clear the team at Dotemu and Tribute Games have an abundant love for both the Turtles franchise and the side-scrolling brawler genre. After watching the team play through the 3 stages, I immediately got the itch to replay my favorites like Turtles in Time. Thankfully, through the recently announced Cowabunga collection, I'll have the opportunity to refresh my skills and brush up on my skills as I get ready for Shredder's Revenge later this year. Now, yeah, they said that Battletoads, not so hot. That new Battletoads did not do what they were hoping. Real life horrors set the foundation for supernatural journeys into the locked away land of Hell Is Us. Right? Looks like that one game by that Konami dude. The one that they advertised on Rick and Morty a whole bunch. Liking that. I guess I'm liking that monster. That looks pretty cool. Big old lotus. Yeah, a lot of interesting art right there. Previews, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Do we really have a real open world Pokemon game? During this year's Pokemon Day celebrations, the Pokemon Company unveiled several updates and announcements for its existing stable of console and mobile games. However, before the stream wrapped up, Game Freak also pulled back the curtain on its next project. Though Pokemon Legends Arceus just launched in January, the core Pokemon developer has been busy as it already has its next mainline games. Officially revealed as Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet, scheduled to launch later this year. After a cryptic live-action trailer featuring a security guard exploring the Game Freak offices. All right, so I'm going to just skip through to the last paragraph of this. Yeah, last paragraph. We still have much to learn about Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet, but the early looks spark optimism. Since the mainline series made the leap to Switch, players have been clamoring for a fully open-world mainline Pokemon game. If Game Freak can successfully pull off this ambitious leap forward, it could very well usher in an exciting new era for one of the most beloved franchises in all of entertainment. Don't let Metazoo beat you to it, Pokemon. You wouldn't want that, would you? The Quarry, the Camp Blood, ain't it? Vampire the Masquerade. I play the latest ECG of Vampire the Masquerade. Ghostbusters, Spirits Unleashed, Ghostbusters, War Tales, Cult of the Lamb, cutesy little creatures. Exo Primal, It's Raining Dinosaurs. Fire Emblem, Warriors, Three Hopes. Neon White. Heaven Help Us. Interesting. Star Trek Resurgence, a new adventure in familiar territory. Okay. Marauders. Trek to Yomi. Yeah, let's read that. That looks good. If there's one thing Flying Wild Hog wants you to know about Trek to Yomi, it's that it's authentic. We'll see if that's true when the game launches this spring. Set during Japan's Edo period, 1603 to 1867, the studio pulls from classic Japanese films such as those of Akira Kurosawa, Shinto mythology, and Edo history to build its 2D action game. Great graphics. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Cowabunga Collection. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Cowabunga Collection is truly a blast from the past, bringing 13 arcade, NES, SNES, Genesis, and Game Boy games to modern consoles and PC. Not just a simple port. These titles will feature remastered visuals, updated mechanics, online play in some cases, new modes, and much more later this year. Sounds like excellence. Lonesome Village. Something like an Animal Crossing looks like it. Soul Hackers. She Dreams Elsewhere. Yeah, they got a new Game Boy-like console. They probably covered it last month's issue. Straight guys, I'll be going back to the old issues after this one. A Space for the Unbound. No Place for Bravery. How to Say Goodbye. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R. That looks cool. Gundam Evolution. Tunic. Yeah, that's supposed to be a pretty big deal, Tunic. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Kirby in the Forgotten Land. Triangle Strategy. Might be like a Final Fantasy Tactics, looks like it. Destiny 2, The Witch Queen, Strangers of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, got a 7. Kirby in the Forgotten Land, got a 9. Let's read that. This is rendition of Super Mario 64. But it brings the series successfully into the 3D realm and doesn't need to rely solely on its latest entertaining gimmick. Kirby thankfully remains as charming as ever, and this new adventure can effortlessly provide hours of glee. Ghostwire Tokyo got an 8. Gran Turismo 7 got a 8.75. Tango Gameworks a decade later. It took more than 10 years. Tango Gameworks. Cool demon zombie stuff. Flying Cat. Who's laughing now? I got pretty good at Asteroid back in the day. Sam got good at Berserk. Sam Raimi's claim to fame is that he beat Brian De Palma, the fancy director, Scarface, Mission Impossible. He beat him at an arcade in New York in the early 80s. All right. And that is the May issue of Game Informer. Soon I'll be going back to the April issue. So check back on me and peace. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.